Terms, though they identify me as a Sigma, that's monkey talk. When you know that individuals, we believe in what we believe, right? Whatever it is, we believe. Sadly, and ergo a reason why most people won't elevate. Now, I feel that. I feel it whenever I say something, I mention something. It's not because this anticipation of how somebody may take it. I don't really care. As far as the fact that I'm speaking the truth and their feeling, the feelings that are steeped in lies. I don't care about those. Do I care about the individuals? Of course. And I realize you have to explain that sometimes because people will personalize it so much that it will affect them in a very negative way. Now, I cannot negate another way of doing it because I am who I am. Is it stubbornness? Sometimes stubbornness is a good thing. And if I was conflicted with my thoughts and feelings, I'd become irrational, and then it would affect me in a negative way. It would negate negative responses. I think that's with anybody. And so it does it on that side too, when they don't like to hear something, when they're going through a whole lot. But the thing is, people don't know how to choose their battles. And the first battle that they need to choose is the one with self. Again, ergo, the irrational behavior and the intrepidness. I say what I say because it needs to be said. And if it affects certain individuals, it means that it applies. It does. Some people might say, no, I just don't want to hear it. That means it applies. Because they cannot venerate the reality of truth in themselves to be able to argue the case. And no case should have to be argued, but yet we're in that time when many cases exist and an argument must be held. I choose not to argue. I'm going to say whatever I need to say. Forget what I want to, because I want to be this loving, and it is loving, but I want to be the phonetics of what people believe is love. And it's a want. It's not the need of love. And see, that's the drastic emporium of the society we live in. They want to be loved. They're not looking for the love they need, so that way they can love themselves. And if it is arbitrary to what they think, then so be it. I'm going to give them and give you the love you need. And it has nothing to do with hate. It might sound spiteful. And I'm not attempting to be spiteful, because if I was being spiteful, I would give you what you want. And it would be nothing but a blatant lie. And that is what we deal with today. We deal with the acceptance of irrelevance and the lies that consummate this idea of what love is, instead of people realizing there's a truth in it. I have the Tuskegee Airmen, a few, since 1936 all the way up to 1970. This perversion, like the experiments in the hospital by ex-Nazis and all experiments on the food and the water. When you look at the Black Rock, right, and you look at all the things that are owned, they own the seeds, the plants. They've chopped down our great mother trees. They have totally destroyed and consummated everybody into a lie, believing that the Social Security card, the TIN number, the birth certificate, which is the U.S., the corporation, they have consummated it in a way that they made it practical to apply to everybody. And most people, the majority of the people, 90%, are ignorant to this truth. I woke up this morning and the first thing I get is a message from a dear beloved brother, and I love him. And it's saying how the Tate brothers, they have been charged, Romania. And that's after he went and did another one after BBC, which is a deplorable news station, just like the rest of them. Piers Morgan on our soil from England, commentating as if we need to hear him. He got out of here because people got tired of hearing this pompous of a fake crown and queen, ridiculing people, talking about what we should and should not have. Like, take your behind out of here. And so we did not want to hear no more of that. It's a big gambit game. They say that all the presidents have been related except one, because they're not related to Abe Lincoln. None of them are. And the true Washington or any of them, because they were all Negroes. These are the falsitudes. This is the Gog and Magog. And regardless of how I still read the Bible, the Torah, and I read the concordance, because I know that much that they have perverted, and most of it has not been deciphered correctly. Even when I look at the one in Algonquin, they've changed. The English terms have changed meanings. Get an Algonquin Bible. It's expensive. Or you donate, and I will get one, and I will read that. Well, the one I have, I'm not going to read it. That's passed down. It's a white Bible. It's old, and I will not put it in front of the screen. It is wrapped up, put away in the shed with desiccant packs, mothballs, and the whole nine. It is a big book. It's got my family all written in it. It's Algonquin. You donate, and you donate $5 $4, $5, $10, and I will purchase an Algonquin Bible. It is expensive. All right. Now, you don't have to donate nothing. Many of you feel like I'm entrapping you, and I'm not going to beat a dead horse in the head. I'm just not going to do it. And I'm grateful for those who have. I'm thinking about just going ahead and removing all the books that I want to order and just order one book at a time on my own. I collect books. But I will ask if somebody want me to read these books, you will abide by the time, or you can go on about your business somewhere else. It's disturbing to live in this era with all the things done against our people, our cities flooded and towns, the lies of history. Every time I look at Civil War reenactments, I see this perversion. I see these hicks who the majority of their families came in the 1920s and 1940s. I literally do, because it's not hard when they mention their names to do if you have a genealogy, to do the research on the place they live and pull them up at the place they work and everything, to find their Facebook pages and everything else. It is not complicated. And I'm looking at these individuals and it tires me in a sickening way. Some people will say, well, stop allowing it to rob your energy. Rob my energy. They rob my energy because you have not elevated yours. You have been robbed and you refuse to implement something to elevate yourself. You will hold on to the dredges of their creation and believe that it's to benefit you. And it doesn't benefit you. It doesn't do nothing for you, but keep you in a state of catatonement, to be catatone, to be like a mummy. Man, it's disturbing. It really is. I see people still, and that's why I got rid of Facebook in the first place and TikTok, and I went back because of certain individuals, and I love to watch what they posted. I love to see what they're doing because they're not near me. They're here on earth, but they're not near me. And that was the only reason. Today I will be reading on TikTok too. I didn't come back on last night. I went to sleep around 8:40. I woke up at about 2 o'clock. Just tossing and turning. Went back to sleep. Woke up at 4 with this one doing his morning meows. And I know everybody around me heard me say, "Shut up, Alexander." He did a meow and got quiet. I'm not in the military where I need to wake up at 4:30. And he's young. He's just a little 2 years, and he's got to stop. And I know in time he will. And it's not hate like I'm expressing to you guys. It's my way. I'm 57. What other way do you think it's supposed to be? Do you think, this younger generation, you younger individuals, believe that I'm supposed to be all loving and compassion? I didn't rear you. I didn't nurture you. I'm doing that now. But you got to understand, there are barriers. And I ain't talking about some wall. I have no wall. There are barriers. There are things that must be implemented, and I will call you on your shit. I worked hard for a long time, and people watched me, in ignorance, but watched me. In the last 15 years, do all this manifestation and change, to embark on something with knowledge. They have experimented, have murdered. They tell you Henrietta died and they dissected her. They murdered her. Any story they give you, you buy into. And here we are at the crux of everything, and they're still murdering, and y'all won't come together to fight back. They own all these platforms and everything. I found out when Kiramil told me about his account, I found out that they did the same thing to mine. The security team hacked my account. They hack many accounts. They play games. And it's degrading and sickening. Not degrading of me and who I am, but degrading, and I look at them as they're weak. If these people were so powerful, why would they need to kill off so many of our people? And yet our women go and believe that because of people like Tasha Z and all of them talking about, it's always been in our way to have an abortions. No, it has not. When you listen to ignorant people, you will pull an ignorant vice, and it's sickening. I'm here to talk about life, our longevity and everything. And yet, y'all choose not to hearken on to it. There's so many beautiful things around. I still have some things I have to work on, some perversions and this, that, and other. Yet, I don't beat myself up about them. I don't. I don't care. I might have some dick pics somewhere, and I don't care. I got a beautiful dick, so I don't give a damn. See, I'm not worried about this system of its perversion. What troubles me is the righteousness. So things have to be cleaned up. But what? What has to be cleaned up? This is what I'm talking about now. If you're a child pornographer, and all that, and rapist and homosexual and lesbian, man, that's something you got to work on. That's because even though the system and the majority of them are about that, you are the cannon fodder. I mean, look at what they're doing with Biden's son. How does he get a slap on the wrist? And people are going to jail for 15 or 20 years for less. And yet, the guy that got choked by the Marine on the train, I saw the picture with a guy smiling, but he wasn't smiling. He was grimacing. This is not smiling. This is grimacing when you're fighting for your life. And there's a moment that you feel like you're gonna come out of this, and your mind is not right. Could it be an act? I'm gonna employ this. Ignore it. I'm not saying ignore it for the plight that it might not happen to you. I'm saying it wouldn't happen, and you wouldn't have to worry about it if you made a geographical move. If you change your place, now everybody is speaking and people are being watched, and we're not close to each other to protect each other. I don't think you get it. I really don't think you get it. I'm just going to read a little bit and then come back and read. I'm tired, y'all. And I don't want to say that to incorporate that kind of energy, but I am. I really am. Like physically tired. I'm up and I'm happy. I'm tired. I acknowledge every and anything that I do feel. Anything that is going on with me, I told you I will not lie to you. I will hold myself accountable. There are women who are disturbed because I said I would like to have 3 or 4 women to raise beautiful children. I'm here. And to share my knowledge and to sit with them and it be nothing but love. And people take that in some kind of obscure way because you believe in your religion and whatever. I told you it's all steeped on a way about life. But also, what other things may be true and what may not be true? If you believe that we're the only ones, then how can you believe in the giraffe and the elephant, the gorilla, the chimpanzee, the orangutan, the monkey, spider monkeys? How can you believe in the flying squirrel, the gray and black brown squirrels? How can you believe in the sharks and the fact that orcas will attack sharks even for dinner? How is that you cannot believe in the blue whale, the humpback, although deep because there's over 70% of the ocean that has not been discovered? And yet things that they have been seen, they don't even share because they're luminous in the depths of the dark. Why is it that people have a hard time until they tell you, yes, there are cities under the ocean? When I tell you the moon is not what you think it is. It was a great war and you can see it. What we were capable of, we're incapable of today because of our ignorance. We have been divided and separated for so long that the simplest and crudest of words that are only meant to rile, to aggregate, to back together, does the opposite because most people are ignorant to that. Someone say, is that sad? It is sad for me. Very sad. Saddening. When I tell people there was a period of time when there was no race and this, that, and all that other stuff, that it started around 40s because of the Reconstruction era, and after that implemented hard Jim Crow laws, Jim Crow. Think about it. The crow. What is significant of the crow and the wolf? What is significant of Jim? A name given to those like in the Django. Hey, Jimmy, because they couldn't pronounce your name. Why is it that certain individuals who came here, Spanish, the only languages they spoke when they came here was Aramaic, Hebrew, and Latin? Why is the English language comprised mostly of those languages, but they've been changed? What has happened? Why am I supposed to know so much but know so little? Let's get into The Guards of Eden by William Bramley. Again, Snoo, excellent read, excellent book. Thank you so much. Appreciate you. People are selfish, and we have to break through that selfishness. People are greedy. We have to break through that greed. People have no morals. And morals have nothing to do with sex, this, that, and other. Unless you're just a pervert, then yeah, you got an issue. Let's get right into it. Excuse my sound if my vibration seems a little down, but I'll come around. Sound like I'm about to go into Smokey Robinson, tracks of my tears of a clown. Fort did not speculate as to what mankind's mysterious usefulness might be, except to briefly suggest that humans might be slaves. In a lighter vein, Fort thought that Earth had had a very lively and colorful prehistory. It did. But I accept that in the past, before proprietorship was established, inhabitants of a host of other worlds have dropped here, hoped here, and wafted, sailed, flown, and motored, and walked here. For all I know, been pulled here, been pushed, and have come singly, have come in enormous numbers, have visited occasionally, and have visited periodically for hunting, trading, replenishing, harms, mining, have been unable to stay here, have established colonies here, and have been lost here. Far advanced peoples are things, and primitive peoples are whatever they were, white ones, black ones, yellow ones. To understand how all of this applies to the human condition today, Ford offered no answers, only a formula. Pigs, geese, and cattle. First find out that they are owned, then find out the whyness of it. Why are they owned? And then you will embark on why you're a slave, to which you were never meant to be. Ford has certainly expressed some daring ideas, and they were published at a time when crude pipelines and dirigible balloons ruled the sky. Biplanes. I said pipe, I meant biplanes and dirigibles. Ruled the sky. Tartary. Told you we've been flying for a longer time than what they were led on to be. The Wright brothers didn't invent the plane. They only were given something they had to reconstruct and learn how to operate again. Charles Lindbergh's historic flight across the Atlantic Ocean was still 8 years away, and Fort acquired a small and loyal following during his day. It was not until a third of a century later, however, that the foundation, the foundation laid by Fort supported a sudden explosion of non-fiction works speculating that an extraterrestrial society had been involved in human affairs. This sudden surge of interest was caused by a media publicized rash of UFO sightings in the late 1940s and 1950s. One of the first books of that period, wouldn't that be utilized in a period of Reconstruction era to refocus people away from what was happening, a war to come? 1942, right? Period to discuss ancient UFO sightings. Was Flying Saucers on the Attack by Harold T. Wilkins. It was published in 1954 by Citadel Press of New York. Citadel followed with a host of books, including The UFO and the Bible. 1956, a year after the Reconstruction period was over, by Morris K. Jessup. They Must Blind the Mind. Jessup's book suggested that many biblical events were the doings of a space-age race, not of a god. Numerous passages from the Bible, but they wanted us to dismiss creation and the Creator from the Bible, were quoted to support the theory. Similar books with similar titles followed, such as Flying Saucers in the Bible in 1963 by Virginia F. Brassington, and The Bible and Flying Saucers, 1967, by Barry H. Downing. On the other side of the Atlantic, a number of European writers were also making important contributions to the genre, rewriting history, y'all, and twisting things. The French writing team of Louise Poels and Jacques Barguer wrote their intriguing bestseller, Morning of the Magicians, which was published in America in the early 1960s. Eric von Däniken of Switzerland was also writing about ancient astronauts during the 1950s and 60s, and he achieved great fame by the early 70s after the publication of his first international bestseller of the subject, Chariots of the Gods. The powerful success of von Däniken's book prompted a flood of similar books that people bought into as shit. Flood of similar books and motion pictures in the 70s and early 80s, bringing the idea of ancient astronauts to the attention of millions. Now, the notion of alien intervention in human affairs is generally tolerated when it is expressed as a work of science fiction, but it is often poorly received when suggested as fact. This is understandable. Tired. The very idea of it seems at first blush to fly in the face of everything we have ever been taught. And for centuries, there has been a strong tendency to think of our planet and the human race in very isolationist terms. Centuries ago, people even believed that humans were at the center of the universe and that the sun and the stars all revolved around us. It was a flattering notion, but sadly not a true one. Yeah. In the bygone days of the Inquisition, however, a person could be put to death for challenging the idea. The only extraterrestrials people were permitted to believe in were winged angels in white robes sent from heaven by the great god Jehovah. Now, we already covered who this Jehovah was. Although the sciences have thankfully moved away from that kind of perspective the damage is already done though, to a large extent, human-centered concepts of existence are still surprisingly strong. Some persuasive-sounding arguments have been advanced to refute the evidence that one or more extraterrestrial societies have been visiting the Earth, and some of those arguments are worth addressing. Now we get into the reptilian. The Reptilians in the History of Humankind, Anunnaki, by Henry Crane. Okay, short bit. Okay. No, past that. Let's go into where we highlighted it. I've got my own stuff in here. We're at the true origin of the moon. We already went through the extinction of the dinosaurs, to which it didn't exist. We already covered all that. So the true origin of the moon. These civilizations being annihilated, the Noid-Carians told Anu that his race had violated one of the universal laws for causing the extinction of a race. Anu answered them that the human race belonged to them because they had created it. Enlil cleverly interrupted this discussion of Anu and the Cararians by informing them that not all the human race had been extinguished. Since he had saved a handful of people who were on a small boat, in addition, there were survivors in the first settlement, Inki, who had been listening to all this conversation with the Carians, decided to keep quiet and say nothing about the Atlanteans and Lemurians that he had put safely on the boats. Now the Carians questioned Enlil about why the humans were on that boat. They asked him if he had already knew that these bombs were going to explode, to which Enlil replied that he had sent a group of Lulus on a boat to explore the area, which we now know as the border of Bulgaria and Romania. Since they had discovered a large gold deposit that he wanted to exploit, the Carians were not convinced with Enlil's answer, and they asked Anu why they had activated those nuclear weapons, to which Anu, a bit calmer, told them that he did not know who had activated them, but had the suspicion of who they could have been, promising to carry out an investigation to get the responsible for all this to pay for their actions. Now the Carians left the mothership and went to what was left of the first settlement, accounting for 93 surviving humans, of which 7 were hybrids, half human, half reptilian, no giants. Once this was done, the Carians gave notice to the Galactic Confederation about the violation of the law that, in their judgment, the Anunnaki had made. The Earth was in its lowest duration recorded in its history, all because of the explosion of those nuclear weapons. The intraterrestrials, baffled and surprised by the destructive capacity of the Anunnaki, saw the perfect opportunity to attack and destroy them, as they represented a great threat to them. However, they had a great disadvantage. Despite having a large number of warriors, they did not have enough technology to reach the mothership from Earth. His plan was to hijack the transporter ships to get to the mothership and from there to destroy it from the inside. However, foreseeing all this, Anu approached to the What, Papa? Hold on, I'll take you out in a minute. To the intraterrestrials and made a deal with them. The Anunnaki were going to teach the intraterrestrials how to build weapons and sophisticated means of transport, as well as give them a good number of humans to help them in their manufacture. Now the intraterrestrials, baffled and surprised by the destructive capacity of the Anunnaki, saw the perfect opportunity to attack and destroy them, as they represented a great threat to them. However, they had a great disadvantage despite having a large number of warriors. It's repeating. They did not have enough technology to reach the mothership from Earth, and his plan was to hijack the transporter ships. I said, wow. However, foreseeing all this, Anu approached to the extraterrestrial leaders and made a deal with them. And the Anunnaki were going to teach them. It's repeating. It's actually repeating what it says over here verbatim. Well, as well as give them a good number of humans. Okay, now the intraterrestrials were in a great dilemma because, I'm going to have to mark that, people. They actually wrote it a second time. This is number 2. Let's go ahead and put the line through that. Somebody forgot their place and didn't pay attention to where they were when they printed this out. The intraterrestrials, literally, right here and this are the exact same. The intraterrestrials were in a great dilemma because, on the one hand, if they accepted the deal, their civilization would make a huge evolutionary and technological leap. But on the other hand, they were afraid that the Anunnaki would create new humans, Lulus, and begin to make weapons again, and being a threat again for them. Excuse me. Good boy. In the end, the intraterrestrials accepted this deal, but on 2 more conditions. The first was that no Anunnaki would enter the Abzu without the consent, and the second is that they also taught them the secrets of the genetic manipulation so that they could master it. Now, Anu had no other option but to accept the terms of the intraterrestrials in exchange for not attacking their race. While the negotiation was being carried out, Anu ordered Enki the construction of 700 humans to repopulate the Earth, but this time, these humans would have only 20 active codes. out of the 64 available in their DNA. This would be the fifth race of humans, but no longer as intelligent as their ancestors, nor with their psychic powers. In other words, he ordered to create the perfect Lulu. Hold on. This is a statement made before, guys. Yeah, it is. No, it's just reinforcing it. Okay. Inky had no other choice, and he accepted since he was being watched at all times by the Anunnaki on Anu's request, since he did not want him to recreate humans as intellectually powerful as he had done. The only hope of Inky was the Atlanteans and Lemurians that he had managed to rescue. It is compelling to make a comment about Inky. It is not that he felt precisely love or any other kind of feeling benevolent to humans, since reptilian beings did not have that kind of feelings because of their physiological nature. He felt pride and appreciation for his creation and did not want anyone to destroy it. He was not good, but he was the least bad of all the Anunnaki. He was supporting us to know how far we could get. He saw us as we currently see our pets. Before anything, he was as an Anunnaki, and he would always watch first for the benefits of his race rather than for us humans. Having clarified this, we have that the Galactic Confederation, upon receiving the news of what had happened on Earth, asked the Draconians, the supreme race of all reptilians, an explanation of what had happened. For if the Anunnaki reptilians had destroyed a whole race consciously, it implied a violation of one of the universal laws. The Draconians, surprised by this news, knew very well that if the Anunnaki had committed such an atrocity, the Kadastu could intervene, and they would end up paying a very high price for this. They sent their emissaries to Anu, demanding that he showed up in Orion so that he could give an explanation of this serious accusation. Space 1999, Battlestar Galactica, though there's so many movies out there. When the Draconians came for Anu, he asked Inky to accompany him along with 3 other members of the Anunnaki Council, and he commissioned the leadership of the Earth to Enlil. Inky did not feel supported by other Anunnaki, so he commanded the only one he trusted, his son Marduk. So watch over Enlil and not allow him to destroy humans. In addition, he entrusted him with the supervision of the remaining Lulus, since they had only created 200 of the 700 that Anu had requested. Now, when arriving in Orion, Anu, head of the Anunnaki caravan, Cosmic Cell, geez, I'm sorry I didn't turn it off. Anunnaki caravan belonged to the Usumgal race, and was interviewed by the Draconian leaders, demanding an explanation of why they were not noticed of the planet found in the race of Lulus. Anu told them that he had tried to build a portal to be able to communicate with all the reptilian alliance, but he could not do it. He also confirmed them that the Galactic Confederation was already aware of what they were doing, and that even the Carians kept an eye on them. Now the Draconians realized that if the rest of the reptilian race, of which they were also members, were not warned about this Anunnaki settlement, the rest of the reptilian races would come into conflict and would be jealous and desiring to take control of the new planet. At least Anu also confessed that the human race had the capacity to feed them with their subtle energy, provoking them an indescribable sensation. Now the Draconians, subduing and threatening Anu, told him that from the moment on, the planet Uranus, which is how they called the Earth, belonged Uranus to them, along with the human Lulus. In addition, he was strictly forbidden to inform his Usmagal race and the reptilian alliance about this planet. Anu, fearing for his life, accepted all the conditions of the Draconians, becoming, from that moment on, their slave. And then Anunnaki becomes a slave. 7 draconian days after having made the deal with the Draconians, the Galactic Confederation called to a first meeting to deal with the issue of the planet, Uranus, or Earth, and the Lulus. Now, the Galactic Confederation Council, GCC, abbreviation, met in the extinct planet Moget, and to the venue arrived Anu and Enki, next to the three members of the Anunnaki Council. The first question to Anu was why they did not inform the rest of the genetic manipulation they did to an inferior race, found on a planet outside their jurisdiction. Anu answered that the communication systems of this ship were rendered useless and that on the planet Riotas, Earth, there were not the necessary elements to repair them. But what he was trying to do was to create a portal to notify the Reptilian Alliance of their position. But in the end, they were not successful either way. Now, the Carians and members of the Galactic Confederation told him that this was inadmissible. Stop making the decision to alter and accelerate the evolution of a race. Interrupting it from its natural course was against the laws set forth Alexander. Set forth in the intergovernmental treaties. Now, the Draconians, who were the representatives of the reptilian race in the Galactic Confederation, interrupted their fellow Sleestacks, fellow Carians, and told them that their emissaries had helped create the Lulus, and questioned why, when they were notified that a reptilian race had manipulated an inferior race on the planet Uranus. They did not decide to notify the Draconians, but on the contrary, they decided to be silent and send emissaries behind their backs without asking for authorization. That was also a violation of the intergovernmental treaties. So the angry Carians answered that they only wanted to be sure and corroborate the information they received. And if they decided not to inform the Confederation, it was because they had more important problems to attend to because of the war that the reptilians had caused. Wow. Wow. That's all I got to say. Now, you can't take everything literally. You got the puzzle pieces. What makes sense until everything makes sense, right? What makes sense until everything makes sense? The Hatha Material, Messages from an Ascended Civilization by Tom Kenyon and Virginia Essings. I got so many marks in this book, it's unbelievable. I was really, really digging in this book, y'all. You gotta excuse me. I really, really was. I still am, actually, because I've seen these carvings in many different places. And so when I had came across this book, I bought this book on my own. When I bought this book, I went crazy. And I've been going crazy ever since this book. I mean, we'll get there one day. Now we're at Virginia, and we'll get back to her talking with the Hathors. Now, Virginia states, if I understood what you said about the feminine principle, does this also have to be applied throughout the solar system, or is this primarily a focus only on Earth? And the Hathors respond, this is applied throughout the solar system, but at varying times. Planet, plane, and when we say T, we're talking about the plane and its axle to which it is centered. Planet does not mean some, but when they're describing these things, you have to dig a little deeper. It is applied throughout the solar system. What is a solar system? This one. We are in our own solar, the ether. Soul, AR. Think about it. republic. But at varying times, it is crucial to what is happening on Earth at this moment. You see, there are two parallel processes. Earth, as a consciousness, is going through her own elevation, a change of herself. So all organisms, not just human, but plant and animal as well, are being affected. These are all going through their own individual processes to align with Earth's shift into a higher vibratory field. Now, the rest of the solar system is also going through a process of changing vibratory fields because your sun is shifting. However, Earth specifically is going through a unique process that is not being experienced by the other planets at this exact time. That is why there are beings, excuse me, from many dimensions and other realms who are stationed, beings from many dimensions and other realms. So when we say planets and solar system, okay, who are stationed around Earth on planets, asteroids, and interdimensional spaces to observe what is happening, it is so unique. Virginia, I would like to know how Earth and Venus are connected here in the solar system. Was there once a singular consciousness above and beyond those of the physical planetary spheres that we call Venus and Earth? Could you comment on our prior and current relationships with them? Yeah, you know they have to equate that. Hathors, think of Venus as Earth's elder sister. In the formless period before the planets were actually created. Planets, remember, the seed or the subtle vibrations of these planets already existed, and there were thought forms and beings moving through these spaces. At that time, the planets of Earth and Venus were intimately connected. They formed a pulsating movement of energy, very much like an infinity sign. Connected, remember I was talking about that? Not infinite, like complete, going in one direction, another, unstopped. Okay. So Venus and Earth from the conception were connected. They are as sister planets. Those of us near Venus who are doing our own work and our own evolution into greater understanding are deeply connected to Earth. Thus, we are committed to assist you, and it is our joy to help those beings who have decided to incarnate on this beautiful planet Earth, as well as to aid the planet herself as she begins to ascend in her own process. Virginia states, I see. We who have studied various metaphysical teachings about the planet Venus have heard the name Sanat Karmura and would like to acknowledge that being and the energies of his teachings from an earlier time period. Is this to be a part of any of our or your material? And the Hathors respond, we did not plan to discuss our brother Sanat Kumara, but we know him well, for it was he who asked us to enter this universe. Sanat Kumara is an ancient soul who is part of an intergalactic council known as the White Brotherhood. The term white does not refer to skin color, but rather a state of purity. Hello. As an ascended master, Sanat Kumara has taken on numerous responsibilities associated with the elevation of planet Earth and this solar system. He has been involved in this task for millennia. He is untiring, in his dedication to this realm, to be a planet, to be a realm, pay attention. And he is known throughout the universe for his powerful magnetic presence. We are quite fond of him, especially since he has a most wonderful sense of humor. He is working, he is working for the ascension, the evolution of consciousness in the solar system, as are we. Now his home, if you wish to cite a physical location, would be Venus, but his presence extends through many dimensions. As you are aware, the methods that he uses are in harmony with everything that we plan to reveal in this book. We do not plan to discuss his work or his approach. However, since that would be something deserving of his own message, his own sharing, if you will. Well, Virginia, here she goes. In other words, there is a companionship of purpose among the higher Venusians, energies already established. And the Hathors respond calmly, yes. And then Virginia states, we would then like to know if your Venusian experience is related to any way to Sirius Planet B or other galactic areas beyond our solar system, and also to Egypt, as suggested by the word Osiris, Isis, and many other Egyptian concepts and words. Well, that's a long one, and we will get into that later. I still got some things in here I got to mark too, because I'm not saying that I'm not going to read it. There are some very key factors in here that are quaint, explorative, and disturbing, to put it mildly. As far as what little knowledge I have about certain things. So another thing I want to make a statement upon is that in a lot of books printed in the 2000s, okay, all right, late 19, early 2000s. This one was around 90, I believe 96. It was imperative that in these writings that anything about the earth had to be spherical, round, and in a dimension of an outer space. And that's based upon a fact. You can research that. We must remain indoctrinated to not look beyond. So when we think ascension, acceptance of ascension, to ascend, to raise frequency of vibration, if it weren't true, then they would remove the 440, the 8440, and the 808. I know my brother, Westside, works with music, 808. Imagine being able to remove the 808. And a lot of people think they know what it is because they've been conditioned to believe what they've been told 808 is. It is just like that 400 and what you call a gigabyte, 427, which is a very negative zone. It has nothing to do with the 7.25 or the 8 hertz of Earth, our balance, which brings harmony and maturity and regeneration. Just as the A404, which was funded upon, what, in the 1930s or 40s, whatever, when it was agreed upon by the same people all around Earth who agreed that nobody could go to the Antarctic, as if they could tell us where the fuck to go, excuse my French, that it keeps us in a destructive, a sick mode. If we were to remove that frequency that's arduous all around, just like they get people believing in satellites and 5G, which is nothing but a stronger repeater to which y'all know now is a disruption in electric magnetic force. It is to harm us, to mess with the endocrine system, to break down your molecular strength, to make you weaker, to not be able to read each other's minds, to not have a clear understanding, to suffer from a dysmorphic, a whole lot of things, ADHD, psychosis, the whole brand. And then with the poisonous petroleum-based things, so-called medicines that were never meant for consumption, and the heavy metals to block receptors and the firing of synapses. There's a reality here. So if anybody's talking this stuff, you go ahead and let me know, and I'll stop talking about it. Let me put this over here. Keep reading that. So later on, we'll come back and we'll start reading the Custodian Time along with Nos Confoundum across the Antarctic wall. All right? Who all came in? Hey, Mikey Hill. Grand Elevations, brother. Patricia Slade, Grand Rising. The Chief Darkboard Heroes, what's going on? Peace and grace. Etta Anderson, what's up, beloved? Grand Rising. Excuse me, I'll put my hand over here. Hey, Oklahoma, what's going on? Salute, brother. Hey, Snoop, what's going on, mama? Ray Wolf, tell the white girl I said hi. I love it. Hey, Rondo, what's Grand Elevations? Did you hit the separate one? I saw the video though. Um, Make sure you give me the nomenclature or the name of that part, the acronym, so that way I can look at my tools and see if I have something that work on that. You know what I'm saying, Ganja? I'm glad you brought a little bit of that ganja water, man. Where's West Side? Is he asleep now? Because the vampire hours. He's probably in the catacombs, huh? Where's DJ? He's probably in the catacombs too. He's working, one or the other. Anyway, man, love and respect my beloved sisters, my brothers two under one. I'll see y'all shortly.